Hi, and welcome to this little Q&A. I know this is a lot different from the stuff that you usually find on this channel or on Twitch, but I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to get to know me a little bit better, and that's also why I asked you to fill out the little questionnaire, send me some questions, and we're gonna answer them. So let's get started. I have your questions here in our trusty little mug, and we're just gonna go through them. I'm gonna answer them one by one and see what you wanna know about me. Just for the record, my name is Crimson. It is currently January 3rd, 2023. It is my 23rd birthday. The mug, this is the mug. This mug has all the questions, and I'm just gonna pick the first one and just answer them and see what it is you always wanted to know about me. Something you want to achieve in 2023. It's actually not an easy question to answer. One thing I would really like to achieve this year is obviously pass all my exams, which is, I think this is something that every student wants to do every year. But especially in my case, I have to start thinking about a thesis for my bachelor's, which I'm writing next year. But I really have to start thinking about the topic I want to write about, and that is one thing that I would really like to have decided on by the end of the year, which sounds so boring, but it is a huge point of anxiety for me, because I'm not really good with writing university papers, or at least I don't feel very confident in my papers. Just getting that off my shoulder would be a huge thing for me. Another thing I would like to achieve is just more general. So I want to be a little bit more content with myself, because last year I was really looking for validation from the outside, and I don't want to do that anymore. That is one thing I would like to change, and I would also like to achieve some personal growth. I think that is a very good point to sum it up. Personal growth, I think, is even a little bit more important. Just being more content, more happy with myself, because last year I was struggling with that a lot. And I would love to improve that this year, and I think I'm on a good path. So yeah, not really material goals, but more personal growth and university directed goals. What's a new hobby you started last year? I actually did start a new hobby last year. I think I've actually talked about this before, but I started doing more work for the German Lifeguard Association, which is really fun. I think the new hobby that I picked up with the Lifeguard Association is very different from all the other hobbies I have, like sports shooting and streaming and videography and stuff. And it also got me in contact with some very cool people. The people that I met there are more hands-on, and I really enjoyed that. I also started being more invested into videography. Technically, one new hobby with the Lifeguard Association, and one hobby that I picked back up again, because I kind of lost track of it. And I hope that I can really keep working on that this year. Where do you find inspiration? Finding inspiration is actually really hard. I don't really have like a motivational quote or something put up in my room anymore. I used to really look up to some people, but then those people kind of turned out to be not as good. You can be inspired by some stuff that you maybe see online, which is what I do a lot with movies for videography. My feud of inspiration is actually more a hunt for dopamine. So if there's anything that brings me joy that I really like to do, it sometimes takes a little effort to actually start doing that. But then once I'm in my little bubble of doing it, then that's good. So I have that with university stuff, I have that with videography stuff, I have that with streaming. Sometimes I have days where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to stream. But the second I turn the stream on, my brain is like, here, have a little driplet of dopamine. And then I'm like, ooh, this is fun. What would your favorite game look like? What elements would it have? Ooh, my favorite game at the moment is Beyond Two Souls. If you haven't played it yet, go play it. I like that you can influence the choices and the story development. That is really cool. And I don't really like it when games base the whole ending on one big choice in the end. Probably something like if you took Alien Isolation, mixed it together with Beyond Two Souls, and they had like a baby, and that would be something cool, I think. I think I have constructed the ultimate answer in my brain. We're doing horror with choice-based gameplay. Not necessarily underwater, but possible, like some pieces underwater. Horror, but not in the type of jump scares. Like, I like psychological horror that makes you question the human existence. Make me suffer. I want to suffer for this game. And then if it would be VR, that would be really cool. But I'm not sure how you would do that with the choices. But if there's any game developers out there who like this idea, hit me up. We can make this happen, hopefully, probably, I don't know. If you could choose to operate any vehicle, e.g. bus, plane, submarine, which one would it be? I always wanted to, like, fly a plane. One of those small planes. I'm not a huge fan of, like, these big planes that you usually fly with when you go on vacation. But I would really love to, like, get a pilot's license and, like, operate one of those small planes, because that is so cool. Either a plane or a helicopter. I would love both. Something that flies. How did you get into sports shooting? In 2010 is when I started, May 2010. And that's when I started with air rifle shooting. Actually with laser shooting. Then I proceeded to learn how to shoot an air rifle, and now since 2013 or 2014 I've been also shooting a small born rifle, yeah. It's been almost 13 years. This year's 13 years of me being in the sport. From personal experience, I can tell you that it is a very mentally demanding sport. I think it's very sad that this sport is so stigmatized. Whenever I go to competitions, one part that I really like is just meeting everyone again. But to come back to the question, I started in 2010 because my mother's friend was also participating in the sport, and they had like an open doors event, and I went there, and I remember very vividly that I came back to my mom at the end of the day and I was like, Mom, I never want to do that again. But my mom was like, you know what, we're gonna try this again. And then we went there on a regular practice day, and that's when I really fell in love with the sport. And that's kind of how I stuck around. Top 3 songs of your Spotify Wrapped in 2022. Is there a story behind them? I don't have Spotify. My family is very ingrained into the Apple ecosystem, so we have Apple Replay. My top 3 songs of 2022 were Mona Lisa by Phineas, Burn from the Hamilton cast, or more specifically Philippa Sue, and Cleopatra by the Lumineers, because of the 2 people I met last year who unfortunately did not stay in my life. Neither of them. One was more at the beginning of the year and the other one was more towards the end. So it sounds kind of sad if I say it like that, but I try to remember the good times, because it was a lot of fun while those people were still in my life, and I really appreciated those times. And I'm really sad that unfortunately they didn't stay, but that's just sometimes how life goes, and then you gotta move on. What is your favorite movie? That's an easy one. I really like Lord of the Rings and Interstellar. Any advice for the viewers? I think based on what I learned last year, the only thing I can really tell you to listen to is yourself. But if there's anything you want to do, then just do it. If I told my January 2022 self that by January 2023 I will have started my new hobby with the Lifeguard Association, I would have uploaded to YouTube, I have built a little community, we did the cake stream, we did the pumpkin stream last year, I think I would have just looked at myself and be like, oh no, you're lying, you're not brave enough for that. So if there's anything you want to do, then just try it. You know, there's so much to win and so little to lose from a situation like that. I encourage you to this year take a risk and just try one thing that you always wanted to do but have never done out of lack of confidence or thinking you're not good enough or not brave enough. Because if you just try, you will grow with these like challenges you put on yourself. And there is no growth happening inside your comfort zone, which is such a cheesy thing to say, but just stepping out of that comfort zone. Sometimes it is the hardest step, but it is the most valuable step, definitely. Hopefully you enjoyed this little Q&A and you got to know me a little bit better. I might do this again at a later point, you know, just to come back to these answers and see what changed. But for now, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. Now I have to clean this up.